Hi, this class is about multiple linear regression. This is chapter 15 of our book. Let me show you here, Mind tab, okay? So here's Mind tab, chapter 15, multiple regression. So I'm gonna talk about these topics. And first, I want you to understand what we are doing in this chapter, what is multiple linear regression. And I want you to remember that in chapter 14, simple linear regression, we have the relationship between two variables, one dependent and one independent variable, in which the independent variable influences, affects the dependent variable. In this case, we have multiple independent variables. So we're going to assess how much multiple variables impact another single dependent variable, okay? So let's take a look. In this chapter, we continue our study of regression analysis, but now we have more independent variables. Remember the terminology. Y denotes the dependent variable. X now denote many independent variables, okay? Again, the dependent variable is the one that depends on how the independent variable vary, okay? So, and here is the equation. We have a dependent variable, could be anything. Remember, we have like the restaurant, Armand's Pizza Parlor restaurant. So how much revenue sales they make depends on, is equal to a mean, which is B0 plus B1, the coefficient associated with a first variable. Remember, in chapter 14, we had the number of students students in campuses around the restaurant. This is one variable. We could have another variable like the income, the average income in the city, and we could keep adding more independent variables to influence the dependent variable. In that case, sales, okay? So this is how we're going to show the equation. We can turn this equation expected y into a y hat, which is the predicted y, which is the predicted dependent variable, depends on an intercept plus the coefficient associated with the first variable plus the coefficient multiplied by the second variable, and so on, okay? So what we are doing is we're going to estimate the intercept and these coefficients here, B1, B2, up to BP in this case, and also the error term. So this is what we're going to estimate. We have information about the sales, we have information about like income and average number of students. So we're going to use them to predict. But let's take a look at one example, a different example, the Butler Trucking Company. Managers at Butler Trucking Company want to develop better work schedules for their drivers. They believe that the total daily travel time would be closely related. So they want to know the total daily travel time. So this travel time is closely related to the number of miles traveled. Of course, the more miles takes more time to travel, right? So it would be closely related to the number of miles travel in making the deliveries, and also the number of deliveries. So we have two independent variables here, the number of miles traveled and the number of deliveries, okay? So let's take a look at the data. So we have here many assignments for drivers, and here is the miles traveled, how many miles each one of these like delivery assignments are, imagining that is a delivery. And then, that's deliveries. And how many deliveries in 400 miles. Some like assignments have 4 deliveries in 100 miles. Others have 2 deliveries in 100 miles, and so on. Okay, so others have 2 deliveries in 50 miles. So we have a different number of miles and different number of deliveries, and they are going to influence the travel time, right? They're going to influence the travel time. The more miles, maybe the more deliveries, the higher the time, which makes sense. So this is our dependent variable and our independent variables. Okay, so we're gonna turn that problem into an equation. Okay, suppose we believe that the total travel time y is related to the miles traveled and the number of deliveries made. Then we can use this regression equation where y is total travel time is equal to an intercept plus a coefficient associated with miles traveled plus another coefficient associated with deliveries made plus an error. We don't know how much these coefficients are, so this is what we're going to do in Excel. We use Excel to find them, okay? So what we're basically doing is getting the input data that we have. Remember the input data from here. We're going to use in columns and then use Excel to get the coefficients, okay? So I'm going to stop here and then I'm going to use Excel in the next video to show you how to solve this problem.